Footage posted to social media Friday, believed to be recorded on the ICE agent's own cell phone, shows the agent's point of view moments before he fatally shot 37-year-old Renee Good. In the video, the vehicle driven by Good appears to move directly toward the agent just before he fires his weapon. President Trump's border czar, Tom Homan, is defending the agent's decision to use deadly force.
I truly believe this officer, in his mind, thought his life was in danger, which allows him to use lethal force.
Department of Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem standing firmly behind the agent as well.
He worked to make sure that he could save his own life and those around him.
But on CNN, Jake Tapper pressed Noem over whether the video actually supports that characterization.
Your description, they were attempting to push out their vehicle and a woman attacked them and those surrounding them and attempted to run them over and ram them with their vehicle, is not what we see on the videotape, and it's not.
It absolutely is the facts of what happened on the ground that day.
Minneapolis's Democratic Mayor Jacob Frey also doesn't believe the cell phone video shows the agent was in danger of being run over by the vehicle.
There is deep mistrust because so many of the things that we are hearing are not true. For instance, did the ICE agent get run over? Guys, the answer is no. It didn't happen.
Democratic Congresswoman Ilhan Omar, who represents Minneapolis and is under fire from conservatives for calling ICE's tactics, quote, state violence, continued criticizing the federal response.
What they are doing is creating confusion, chaos, trying to intimidate people from being able to exercise their regular, normal activities.
The investigation will also analyze the moments leading up to the deadly encounter. DHS releasing new video on Saturday that appears to show Good repeatedly honking her horn and what's being described as dancing in her car while blocking the road in the minutes before. Border czar Homan said there's plenty of other videos for law enforcement to continue sifting through regarding this case. I'm Kayla Gaskins reporting.
Capital, this is the National News Desk, America's News Now. Good evening and thank you for joining us on your Friday. I'm Dee Dee Gatton. As we come on the air, protests continue across the nation tonight, and we are learning more about what led up to the shooting by an ICE agent that killed a woman in Minneapolis earlier this week. We start with team coverage. Kayla Gaskins breaks down details behind the victim's activism and the questions surrounding the use of deadly force. But first, Ryan Smith starts us off at the live desk with that brand new video, Ryan, of that deadly shooting from the involved officer's perspective. What are you learning?
Yeah, here anti-ICE demonstrations, they are continuing tonight, like this one here across the country. In fact, advocacy groups now say more than 1,000 are scheduled for this weekend and tonight. That new cell phone video shows a different angle of the moments leading up to the shooting. DHS now says it confirms Officer Jonathan Ross acted in self-defense. We're going to show you those moments, but a warning here tonight, some may find it disturbing. It starts with Ross in front of Renee Good's SUV. Good's wife in the video. She is seen standing in the street outside of the SUV, also recording the officer moments before the deadly shots were fired. Here it is.
You want to come at us? I say go get yourself some lunch, big boy. Go ahead.
Out of the car. Get out of the car. Get out of the car. Oh! Now, in response to the federal investigators taking over the investigation, claiming they have sole jurisdiction, the county prosecutor just today said she is now asking the public to share evidence with her office directly.
I'm national correspondent Kayla Gaskins in Washington. The political fallout from the deadly ICE shooting in Minneapolis is escalating fast as state, local, and federal leaders trade heated rhetoric.
A political tinderbox igniting in Minnesota after an ICE agent shot and killed a 37-year-old woman Wednesday.
A group of left-wing radicals have been working tirelessly, sometimes using domestic terror techniques to try to make it impossible for the President of the United States to do what the American people elected him to do, which is enforce our immigration laws.
Both parties using the moment to megaphone their political priorities, sparking deep polarization.
People in positions of power have already passed judgment, from the president to the vice president to Kristi Noem, have stood and told you things that are verifiably false. verifiably inaccurate.
Democrats painting the tragedy as an example of the dangers of the federal crackdown on immigration enforcement.
To ICE, get the out of Minneapolis.
The White House staunchly defending the ICE agents and the necessity of having a nation with laws.
Radicals in the Democrat Party are furious over this. They don't want our border secured or criminal illegal aliens being removed.
Tensions surrounding the increased presence of federal agents in Minneapolis have simmered for weeks.
We've dreaded this moment since the early stages of this ICE presence in Minneapolis. Not only is this a concern that we've had internally, we've been talking about it.
Republicans argue this type of rhetoric created the atmosphere that led to the death of the woman in Minneapolis.
It's a tragedy of the making of the far left. They have radicalized a very small segment of the population, taught them that ICE agents are engaging in wide-scale violation of people's rights.
Some Democrats on Capitol Hill are calling to defund ICE, echoing the unpopular calls to defund the police after the murder of George Floyd in 2020, which coincidentally took place less than a mile away from Wednesday's shooting. In Washington, I'm Kayla Gaskins.
Following the deadly shooting of a Minnesota woman after the Department of Homeland Security says she tried to run over a federal law enforcement officer. Video of that incident shows agents surrounding a car that was blocking their vehicles in Minneapolis. Investigators say the driver began accelerating toward agents before shots were fired.
ICE agents repeatedly ordered her to get out of the car and to stop obstructing law enforcement, but she refused to obey their commands. She then proceeded to weaponize her vehicle, and she attempted to run a law enforcement officer over. This appears as an attempt to kill or to cause bodily harm to agents, an act of domestic terrorism.
And thank you for joining us. I'm Jan Jeffcoat. It is Thursday, January 8th, and this morning the incident in Minneapolis raising concerns also about the safety of federal agents conducting immigration enforcement operations across the country. We want to get right to Mark Boyle at the live desk. And, you know, Mark, agents certainly have faced this massive rise in threats and assaults over the past year. So what are you learning specifically this morning about this investigation?
Well, right now, the investigation is still in the early stages. We know ICE, the operation there in Minneapolis, Minnesota, Jan, still ongoing. A live look over Minneapolis here behind me this morning. DHS calling the incident there yesterday an act of domestic terrorism. I want to show you some brand new video. We just got this in. This is a different surveillance camera. This is the car in question, of course, and we're going to run this through, and you're going to see from the head-on angle, and we wanted to freeze it, you see the ICE officer right in front. So that's the best vantage point, really. The woman fatally shot, now identified as 37-year-old Renee Good. Several different videos have come in to show what led up to this, and certainly causes a lot of different questions this morning, both before and after shooting. The videos have come in showing what happened. Officers say that the woman in question was obstructing law enforcement. She refused to leave. They say the woman, her last name is Good, tried to weaponize her vehicle and ram it into the ICE agent before multiple rounds were fired. Here's DHS Secretary Kristi Noem.
The ICE officer, fearing for his life and the other officers around him and the safety of the public, fired defensive shots. He used his training to save his own life and that of his colleagues.
The officer that was hit was treated and released with the family this morning. Hours ago, Vice President J.D. Vance posted on social media, I want to thank every ICE officer and let them know that their president, vice president, and the entire administration stands behind them. That's from the vice president. Now, both the FBI and Minnesota State Police are investigating what happened. ICE says its operation there in the Twin Cities continues right now.
President Trump also weighing in after seeing the video, posting on Truth Social, quote, "The situation is being studied in its entirety, but the reason these incidents are happening is because the radical left is threatening, assaulting, and targeting our law enforcement officers and ICE agents on a daily basis. They are just trying to do the job of making America safe. We need to stand by and protect our law enforcement officers from this radical left movement of violence and hate." Meantime, Minneapolis Mayor Jacob Fry is demanding ICE leave the city, while Minnesota Governor Tim Walz said he might call in the National Guard against ICE agents.
Let's talk about why this happened. Let's say it's because these politicians like Tim Walz, who prefers to talk about anything but his fraud, they want anything to distract, and they are inciting violence with their words.
This mayor and this governor They want this. They want this outcome. They want tragedy. They want harm. And they want to use it politically. They don't care about the people involved. They don't care about the ICE officer getting home to his family tonight. They don't care about the citizen who was tragically killed because of her own poor decision making, frankly. They don't care about those people. They care about scoring political points, and it, at the cost of the blood of their fellow citizens, is utterly irrelevant to them.
And of course, we have Governor Tim Walz here, the man who refers to these agents as Gestapo. What do you think is going to happen when you're referring to law enforcement agencies as Nazis? It's a recipe for disaster.
Minnesota Congresswoman Michelle Fischbach wrote, the targeted assault on ICE agents in Minneapolis is the direct result of the dangerous rhetoric from sanctuary policies and the politicians who back them. No officer should have to face a weaponized vehicle while performing their duties, yet our officers are facing a 1,300% surge in assaults and an 8,000 spike in death threats.